Usher also asks, fuck it. Can I be annoying and ask the second mailbag question? With the Suns just looking miserable, I think it's safe to say CP3 has finally taken too big of a step backwards to be the main co-star for Book. And while I think McHale and DA have real value, they're not consistently good enough to be the second best player on a contender. I've always been of the mindset of maximizing the CP3 era, but if it's not possible to get a piece good enough to take us over the top, cough, cough, KD, could we just keep our assets and wait for better opportunities? It feels like the only one untouchable piece is Book. And even though I like McHale and DA, they have to be seen as third options at best. That's a really good and honest question about the Suns. And I would actually agree here roughly. So if you're the Suns, I guess this is how I would frame it. If you can trade your 2023 pick to make an upgrade that is or a roster addition where it's salary, that pick, and you're getting Bojan Bogdanovic. I don't know if I would give up that pick for Eric Gordon. I would probably want something else in that deal, KJ Martin, but then you probably have to give up a little bit more. But a deal of that scale where you're not trading 2024 first or beyond, it's just salary, that 2023 pick, and then whatever seconds you're including here. So you're not even giving up core players. You could trade Jay Crowder, Dario Saric' expiring deal as well, Landry Shamet. You can move those guys. I make that deal because I do think that maybe you don't need a traditional then second superstar where if CP3 is still going to give you good moments as a passer, at least, and DA and Mikal Bridges, you can count on them to combine to make a consistent third best player on a playoff team. Like just sort of getting someone else who enters the conversation as one of your six best players or someone maybe you consider putting in certain closing lineups during high leverage moments. That goes a long way. And so it doesn't have to be a star, but it's like, are they a team that really shouldn't go towards the middle where if it costs giving up more than one first round pick, if you are looking at giving up a Mikal Bridges or a DA, yeah, I don't think they should go there unless the superstar market develops. And like KD would be perfect for them. It's really tough to figure out, well, what's the other name that you would want for the Suns? If Bradley Beal all of a sudden became available, he makes a lot more sense than CP3 as a co-star for Booker right now, especially with the way that we know Book can run an offense. I don't think CP3 is as integral in the sense that you don't need a superior visionist on the ball to maximize Book at this point. I think he could just do it. And so Bradley Beal is good enough to put on the ball a bunch that you could work that. I don't even know I'm not even going to begin to think about what a deal like for Bradley Beal to Phoenix would absolutely look like. You would be rolling the dice a little bit with his contract. Is CP3 a part of that? And what is that like? Because the Wizards are looking for cap relief and picks attached to it. But if there's not going to be that level, I'm going to say another top 20 or 25 guy who actually fits the roster. I don't know. Karl-Anthony Towns would be a fun name with Devin Booker just because they're homies, and he wouldn't be a bad fit on offense, but what DA brings in theory on defense, I think is more important. And I mean, maybe not because like the Suns have been able to get all this value out of the starting these retreats at fives or just second chance, first like unknowns or hidden gems, let's call them at the five. But DA is significantly higher end than that, and what he brings defensively is super important. Still, like if names pop up, Siakam's always been someone I think Suns have been lusting after. So I'm with you in the sense, Usher, that yes, hold for the bigger opportunity if there's not one out there. Don't go for the double. Don't go for the if you need to if you're gonna hit a single, but don't go for the double or even the triple. You go for the home run or you go for the single slash even if it's a double. And I would just frame that as if it costs you this year's first round pick than any of your non-core players and seconds, okay. But if you're giving up multiple firsts and maybe a Cam Johnson, maybe a Mikal Bridges, it needs to be for a caps lock star. And I do think we're at the point where, yes, it's fair to wonder, does it need to be a caps lock? Like I think we so often viewed as, yeah, when Kevin Durant was floating around out there, it was different because you know how good he is. But does it have to be a more decided player now if you're going to go all in? Like I think before, if CP3 was going to be who we thought he was this season, like, yeah, you could go for the double, you could go for the triple, and it's just sort of, oh, Bojan Bogdanovic takes you over the top, or maybe Eric Gordon even. And maybe they still do. It's just less likely. And so I think the cost of getting them is not more prohibitive, but you need to be more stingy about it. And we don't have to worry about the Suns being stingy under James Jones / Robert Sarver still does own this team, which is just another interesting aspect is how much are they willing to go all in on this trade when, you know, ownership is so unsettled. That's why they're going to be fascinating. I think they need to do something, but I'm with Usher in the sense that no, it doesn't need to be something for the sake of something. It needs to make sense, and either needs to be more lower cost, or if you're going all in, make it for the right player. Otherwise, wait around because you still have time. Like Book, Bridges, Ayton, they're all young. They're all under contract. Even Cam Johnson, you're gonna have team control on him after this year, and hopefully he'll be healthy and he'll up his value, not just for trade purposes over the summer, but just in general to your team. But just having Jay Crowder sitting there, not doing anything on this roster, that's just some low hanging fruit here that I think you could even just if you get Josh Richardson on this team for a second, just do it. Just like that's a move where it's no, I don't know that it boosts your championship chances as much as I would have said at the beginning of the season, but it helps you in the interim, especially look, you're not going to start Damian Lee anyway. You want to give a starting spot to Landry Shamet when there are certain injuries on the board, like Booker. I'd rather have Josh Richardson there. This